Prime lenses are one of those things that I think every photographer really enjoys. You know, they're a great way to get into fast aperture photography. They're a great way to get that nice shallow depth of field, nice out of focus elements to your picture. And I think that's something that really help you expand your repertoire of what you can do in photography and kind of just extend your creativity. You know, fixed focal length makes you do different things that you wouldn't have done with a zoom lens. But I think a lot of us fall into that trap, and I know I do. I'm definitely guilty of this, of thinking of prime lenses as this kind of quite expensive luxury lens option. You know, £1,000, £1,200, something like that for this incredible piece of glass. But that's not always the case, and you might know where I'm going with this, especially if you've seen either the title of this video, which I imagine you probably have, or our last Throwback Thursday video where we did the £500 used challenge. In that video we were looking at what kind of camera and lens setup we could get for £500, and in this video I thought it'd be cool to look at what kind of prime lens options are available for under £250. Now, I had a look through our used department, our ever-growing used department here at Park Cameras, and this was really interesting, because as soon as I started researching this video to see if it's actually viable, is it just going to be a bunch of nifty 50s? No, is the answer, by the way. Good news. Otherwise this would be a very boring video. But researching in this video and actually looking into it, my eyes were opened to how many possibilities there are, not just under £250, but under £200. There's so much, and all different brands and different focal lengths as well. You know, it's not just 50mm and 24mm, which is what I kind of thought it might be when we started with this video, but it's not at all. So I've picked out 3 lenses for under £250, and I've been out trying them out and playing around with them. They're actually all under £200. I'm going to go through them now, so we can get a look at what kind of stuff you can get. But if you want to play along with this, you can pop down to the link in the description, which will take you to our used department on our website. There's so much stuff on there. There's so many cool lenses. And if you try and look for some prime lenses under £250, and let me know down in the comments what your pick would be. So let's start off. Of course, I have got a nifty 50. I've gone for a Canon because I've got a Canon body readily available to me. This is £69. It's the 50mm f1.8 Mark II. It's a classic lens. You know, every brand has the 50, the nifty 50, nice and cheap. It's a great way for anyone who is, I guess, anyone who is starting out in photography. This is such a perfect lens to just get you into that shallow depth of field, that kind of portrait area, and start playing with bokeh, start playing with depth of field and stuff like that. I think it's such a perfect option. At £69, it's, you know, why wouldn't you just give it a go? You know, you've probably got a kit lens with your camera, and maybe something like this is just the perfect companion to that. Now, that's probably the least exciting of the 3 lenses that we've gone for, but I've got 2 very exciting lenses. Now, let's start off with this. I've got the Samyang 35mm f2.8. Now, this is an FE mount, so I've been using it on the Sony a7 III, and I've been out taking a bunch of photos with this. So, out taking portraits, out taking kind of action-y shots. I've really enjoyed using this. As you can see, it's very, very small. Samyang lenses, especially the E mount, the FE mount, their lenses tend to be nice and small. They're a decent size. It pairs really well with those mirrorless cameras, and I think they just sit so nicely on there. There's 24mm as well. I've gone for the 35 here because it's just interesting to use 35. I like 35mm. 24 sometimes I find a bit wide, so 35mm. Now, price-wise, this came in at £199 on our used department. I think that's a pretty good deal. I think that makes, you know, if you've got a zoom kit lens, or if you've got some zooms or anything like that, I think if you're looking for a 35, you could do a lot worse than something like this. I mean, the image quality is great. It's nice and sharp. The colours look good. Oh, it pairs really well with those Sony cameras as well. You know, those mirrorless cameras, they're nice and small, nice and lightweight, and this is obviously the same sort of thing. It's a very small, lightweight lens, as the Samyang FE mount lenses tend to be, and I think it just sits really nicely on there. I really liked the image quality I was getting out of it. You know, whether it was portraits, I was getting a bit of a shallow depth of field, getting a bit of a blurred up background, or whether it was those action shots. You know, the autofocus in the a7 III is really good anyway, but I was able to really get a lot of usable photos. You know, I've obviously narrowed it down, flashing some up on the screen now, but I was really impressed. I was really impressed by the images that I was able to get from this lens. Now, the third lens that I went for is something that I found to be particularly exciting, and it's not something that I thought I'd be able to get in this kind of price point. I assumed this would just be out of the question. But this also comes in at £199. I've actually got it on the front of the 1DX Mark II here, and it is the Canon EF lens. It's the 85mm f1.8. Now this is a beautiful lens. Obviously Canon have 3 85mm EF lenses, and then there's the RF lens as well. They've got the f1.8, which is obviously this lens. They've got the f1.4 and the f1.2. Now the f1.2 and the f1.4 are beautiful pieces of glass. They are incredible feats of engineering, and they are just they produce incredible images. I particularly like the f1.4 because it's got the image stabilization as well. That is just a lovely, lovely lens, but they are significantly more expensive, and I just didn't think something like this would be available under £250. It's £199, so it's under £200. What an incredible portrait option. 85mm f1.8. You're really going to be able to play around with portraits, with depth of field, with bokeh. Yeah, this is a lovely piece of glass. You know, I know a lot of photographers who actually use the f1.8 version of this lens over something like the 1.2 because the 1.8 is a little bit more forgiving in terms of that super shallow depth of field. You know, something like 1.2 or even 1.4 can be a little bit tricky. You know, if you get too close to your subject, you can start having incredibly razor thin depth of field, and 1.8 is just a little bit more forgiving. I actually used to use this lens a lot for video as well, because 85mm gives you a really nice look to your video. You know, you get some really kind of nice cinematic depth of field, and it just gives it a nice look. It's just a great kind of B-roll style lens. And again, that 1.8 aperture, if you wanna have it wide open, that's a little bit more forgiving than 1.4 or 1.2. So I think this is a great all-rounder lens, and at £199, which I just really didn't think that there would be a lens like this available at that kind of price point. That is a stunning lens to try out, you know, to get into some kind of slightly longer focal length, fast aperture photography and videography as well. But that's not all. Having looked through the used department, there were loads of options. Loads of different stuff. You know, you've got Panasonic lenses, Sony lenses, Nikon lenses, Canon lenses, Fujifilm lenses. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Prime lens photography it's very different to zoom. You know, you can't rely obviously on being able to zoom in to crop and stuff like that. You have to move yourself, or you have to reframe. It's a much more creative style, I think. It forces you to be creative. And I just think there's a lot of really good options, and it's something that, especially if, like I say, if it's someone who was getting into photography, whether it be yourself or someone that you know, it's such a great way to experiment with different focal lengths, to experiment with shallower depth of fields, with faster apertures. You know, if you had a camera and you got something even like the 50mm, the f1.8, £69, all of a sudden your low light photography is going to be going from down here all the way to up here. You know, there's a massive difference with f1.8. That is much brighter than something like an f3.5 kit lens. So that's a really interesting thing to look at. And I think I've certainly overlooked it, and actually just researching this video and preparing for it has really opened my eyes. So I've particularly enjoyed making this one. Now, if you do have any questions about any of the stuff in the video, anything else at all as well, or anything you'd like to see in future Throwback Thursdays, pop them down in the comments below. Any kind of challenge you think would be interesting. You know, we've done a £500 used challenge for a full camera and lens setup for under £500. We've done the prime lens for under £250. Anything that you'd like to see, pop them down in the comments below. Any questions, pop them down there as well. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe as well for more content, because we've got new stuff all the time. Tutorials, reviews, Throwback Thursday, all kinds of stuff. Ooh, it's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to new videos. I'll see you in the next video, and of course, as always, thanks for watching. They're a great way to expand your I don't know what word I was even going for there. Repertoire. That's what it should have been. But I went in with retinue, which I believe is like a troop of men who serve as your soldiers. I could be wrong. Definitely irrelevant though. So good. I feel like, you know, I don't know. Different chair. Because, and rightly so, it was noticed that my other chair was getting a little bit old, not looking so fresh. So, different chair. I do have more of the broken chair, but they are all similarly broken. So, we've gone with a non-broken chair.